I'm Ilya Levantis. I am one of the directors of London Biohackspace. And that means that my lab looks like this, which is not what you'd find in a university or in an industrial lab or anything like that. It's very different. And what I want to talk about is what really is citizen science? Who are the citizens? Why are they doing the science? What science are they even doing? Because I think there's been a lot of assumptions so far about who and how we interface with them, maybe. So this is another side of the angle. What the other panelists have talked about is one side of citizen science. This is another side, and this is the kind of stuff you find more in, I guess, developed countries. So in the US, it's the DIY bio scene, and in the UK and Europe, it's a lot of people starting to get involved. And they work in labs exactly like this, and they do it out of personal interest and a kind of sense of hobbyism, I guess. So in our lab, just to give a bit of background, we are doing molecular biology. We're able to work with GMOs as first lab in the community lab in the UK that is allowed to do that. And I say community because it's a sort of open door policy in that anyone can come along, get involved. They have to do a safety induction, but beyond that, they're limited only in terms of not being allowed to work with pathogens and kind of abiding by certain legislative rules. But beyond that, they're kind of free to work on whatever project they want. And that makes it an entirely kind of individualistic, maybe, thing. But the reasons people do get involved is what projects do they want to do, why did they get involved in the first place, is maybe broken down into about 4 categories, I'd say. So some people, like me, just want to get on with a fun project on the side. You know, they might have a day job, they might be students somewhere else doing something completely different, but they want to do something fun. And so this is the thing that inspired me to get involved. And this is the Human Hair Cactus project by a group called C-Lab. I still don't know if this is actually a real transgenic cactus or if this is somehow fabricated. I think it's a very convincing fabrication if it's not. But I want to do this. I want to use genetic modification to do silly things, right? No one wants to pay me to do silly things with genetic modification, but I want to have fun with it. And so I would love to make a kind of this sort of pubic monstrosity. So I kind of started, my project is very different to this that I want to work on, but nonetheless, this is what inspired me to get involved. Other people have wanted to come and test these potentially commercial ideas in a kind of cheap, easy way, kind of no pressure, just play. And other people, they might be artists or designers, people in that sort of realm, that want to just learn about these new biological techniques, possibly then use them as tools in their own work. And it's a fantastic place for them to do that cheaply and easily, and again, with no pressure. And then there are some that want to come and try and use the facilities to solve a problem for themselves or for the community or something like that. Now, what I have to say is that, in my experience, I've never met someone who wants to come and solve a problem for themselves or a community. That is not something I have any experience with, right? So contrary to what everyone else is saying, citizen science is, that is, as my experience in London, it doesn't conform to that at all, right? So what people want to come and do is they want to play. This is a place to be a hobbyist, enjoy what you're doing, and use these high-tech tools to do so, right? And if that means you become an expert in some niche that people then want to talk to you about from academia or from industry, then that sometimes happens, and that's great. But it's certainly not necessarily a community-driven, or sorry, rather a solving problems for the wider community-driven sort of thing. So that said, there are some labs that have people involved in doing such things, community labs doing such things. There was, a couple of years ago, an initiative, it never really took off, but it was called BioStrike, and the idea was to have a decentralized sort of new antibiotic discovery initiative, right? That would be, that could take place in people's homes, or it could take place in labs like this. And that's very different to this centrally organized sort of citizen science that we might be talking about otherwise, where it's universities with projects that want to go out and get ideas from the community. No, this is the community self-organizing to do something, right? Or it's individuals just organizing themselves to do something they want to do. And so that would be another element of citizen science, which is very different to this centrally organized academic kind of almost top-down, I would say. Even though you're calling it citizen science, you're just interfacing with the citizens. The citizens aren't necessarily doing the science. So one thing I would say is if we want to kind of have this broader view of citizen science, and if you want to interact with, say, the hobbyists that I have experience with, or people that have become a bit more expert in using the tools themselves rather than relying on academic experts to do the analysis for them, is you need to get involved, and you need to, the whole thing is organized on a social kind of peer-to-peer basis. So you go and talk to the person you're interested in talking to. That's how it all works. That's how our lab works. So it's sort of totally, there's no kind of hierarchy in that sense, right? There are legal directors for just in terms of, having to deal with bureaucracy. But beyond that, if you want to figure out how to use the PCR machine, you go and chat to someone who knows how to use the PCR machine, right? And they might recommend textbook A or Coursera course B or whatever, or they just show you how to do it physically. And so the best way, if you want to talk to someone or collaborate with someone like that, is go and talk to them as a person. Don't go and talk to the lab, the community lab, or the community organization. They're not the people that know, right? So there's this, because we often get approached by universities who are very enthusiastic with collaborating with us, and it doesn't really make sense for us to try and, they want us to kind of be one unified organization. We're not that. There's a tension there in that, okay, sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes people see that maybe it's beneficial that we want to do these projects with a university, but they're saying, yes, London Biohackspace, you must collaborate with us on this. And I have to say, well, who's London Biohackspace? Go and just talk to, who do you want to be involved? So go and talk to the people and see which of the members are actually interested in doing that. The Hackspace itself is a venue. It's a place to interact with the other people over a mutual interest, right, in something. And if you're considering someone to be an expert, a citizen scientist, like a hobbyist, for instance, who has gained expertise in some area just through their own interest and time, you have to go and talk to them as experts, and on a one-to-one basis. So you have to integrate with that social structure rather than just appearing and declaring yourselves willing to support us, because that doesn't help at all. And so I think there needs to be more understanding of that within more classical institutions that are excited about such things and want to use these community labs as tools to then interface with broader communities, not necessarily just the hobbyists themselves, but use it maybe as a kind of jumping off point to get to the wider community. And I think it's a great venue to do that, but I think you first have to understand is the social organization of the place you're getting involved with. And I think that's pretty much what I have to say.